Hi everyone, welcome to Addiscene. Coming up on today's show, DuPage High School District 88 Superintendent Dr. Scott Helton brings us the State of 88. We'll meet students making great achievements at Addison Trail and Willowbrook High School. Then a roundtable discussion featuring area superintendents on the Vision 2020 initiative.
But first, we're joined by members of the Addison Women's Club, Alice Smith and Cindy Holmberg, to tell us about their big event coming this month, the Addison Antique Roadshow. Welcome, Alice and Cindy.
Thanks so much.
So you're hitting the road.
Well, we're hitting the nudies.
At Venutis. Well, that's so down Lake Street at Venutis.
Yes. Cindy, this is your idea, and how did you come up with this? Because everybody knows about the roadshow now. You know, it's a lot of fun.
One of the members suggested it. You know, we had our board meeting, and one of the members suggested we have an antique show, because we've had fashion shows the past 3 years. So it'd be something different.
Oh, this is different,
Yes.
and this is an example of some of the antiques that will be shown for purchase, right? Raffled off, or how is that going to work?
Well,
These are
things
centerpieces.
are centerpieces for our tables.
Oh, how lovely.
And like everything else, we wanted to go with the themes. So these 3 pieces will be centerpieces. However, we do have an antique that we think John Leonard, our antique appraiser, may choose to talk about.
And that's an example right here. I don't know if we can get in on that one, Ange, but it shows the will you tell us? It's an invitation?
Right, it was an invitation received by Lovell and Maud Smith from Springfield, Massachusetts. They happen to be relatives in the family, and they received an invitation to President William McKinley's inauguration party.
Wow.
And so it's kind of fun to think that for maybe
1899, wasn't that the year?
1899.
Wow.
So for her to have passed this on down, for me to have received it is of course sentimental value, but we'll see if something like that has some actual cash value.
Yeah, I don't know what you would.
It's very interesting just to see
who would want that specifically, but there are people.
A collector.
Yeah, there are people who collect different things. Cindy, tell us a little bit about the antique show, when it is. Give us our basic facts.
And the
the antique show is Thursday, April 9th, and it starts at 6 o'clock, dinner's at 7, and then the program will be at 8 o'clock. Then after that, we have single raffle items. And the businesses in the community have been very, very good and been donating different gift cards and everything to the event.
Nice.
So it's really very, very nice. And then the ladies have really worked very hard. Kathy McDermott and Pat Tinman and some other ladies made these beautiful centerpieces. They asked for donations. And people were very nice to donate different items. So
this is at Venutis.
Yes, at the Nudies, yes.
And you get a choice. This is different. You get a choice of what dinner you want. You've got, what, 4 choices here?
Definitely. There's a chicken dinner, there's a fish dinner, there's a London broil, and then for our vegans or gluten-free people, there's a vegetarian. And so the Nudies does this is quite uniquely. You come to the event and you just tell your table server, chicken, or they have all that ready, and so it's kind of cool.
So that's I think that's very nice.
Yeah, it is kind of neat.
They always say you can't please everybody, but here you can.
Yes.
It's nice. They do it a nice job.
Now this is a fundraiser, correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us who will benefit from this fundraiser? Do you
Well, different charities. The Women's Club usually, we always give 2 scholarships to Addison Trail students, and then it's been Serenity House, Nedsra, Luther Brook, Stepping Stones for Women, different charities. We have a list of charities, and then the women vote on it, and then depending, 3 or 4 charities receive the monies. So it's very, very...
all very worthy
Yes, it is.
places to put the money. And these sound like local charities here, right within the Addison area that we have. That's very nice.
We've given a grand total of $160,000, $515, over the last 5 years. So last year we were able to give $14,000, the year before $16,000, the year before $15,000, and the process for which the charity is selected comes from the members. They vote. We get a list of 10 or 15 charities that have actually applied for the money, and then the members get to vote who will receive the money.
Well, I noticed some of the charities help domestic violent victims, family members, that they counsel them and get them on the straight and narrow again and help them out. And that's so important. And for many other things, you have Serenity House, and I know that's a wonderful place, helping people who suffer with addictions. And these are all very very needed programs that we don't realize how other people are living, you know, if they're going through bad times. So it's nice that they can get the help they need.
Yeah. And this is the list of charities that know enough to ask us. We know that there are many other charities that haven't yet even asked us for the money, but they will. And as the program like this grows, as we continue with our philanthropy causes, I think it's just going to make the Women's Club look even more important in town.
Cindy, as far as having some item that you'd like to bring to have this Dr. Leonard or John Leonard appraise it, can you do that? Will we be able to bring something of our own to show?
Well, the day before, people have been asked to fill out a form and then just bring their item to Venutis the day before between 3 and 7:30 p.m. And then John Leonard's going to come in later that night and take photos of selected antiques because he can't show all of them. And then he'll project them on the screen the next day. So that's how we're going to work. And tell you what
they're worth.
Yes.
You know, that's always interesting. Because I know there's a show like the Road Show where they come up with these antiques that people bring, and he'll talk about what gives it its value. You know, certain design on the item or something, and they'll say this makes it worth more, or it doesn't have this, so it's not worth as much.
Or if you redid the chair and you shouldn't have.
Yeah, you're not supposed to tamper with the original.
Tearing over here, and, oh no, you should have left it the way it was. It would have been worth three times.
But you know, it's a learning experience.
It is.
Yes,
and I also think that we can learn about what we're saving today. Because I know that, for example, if you buy a Barbie doll, you really should keep the case in which the Barbie doll was purchased. And that makes it more valuable for the future.
Yeah. And you don't think of that when you're buying it, you know.
No.
So this, we got about a minute recap. It's at Venutis.
Yes.
Thursday, April 9th.
Yes.
6 p.m.
6
cash
o'clock,
bar.
open cash bar. You have 4 different choices of meals.
Yep.
Yes.
It's $55 a person.
Right.
And after you have dinner, then the show's going to go on, and many, many drawings, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
we'll have a lot of raffles for people to take a chance on.
Yeah, this is a new thing, I think, rather than a fashion show.
Yeah.
I have a problem with a fashion show after I eat. Because the models are so, like pencil thin. And I'm thinking, oh, I feel so full.
I don't think you need to worry, Lori.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy, Alice.
Thank
good
you, and
luck
good
to
luck
it.
to you.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
Be there.
Thank you.
It's my intergalactic destiny. I'm ready, as we all must be, to take on this crazy meteoric conflict. Yikes!
Watch a movie on the way to work. Can't do this driving, but you can on Pace. Pace turns any commute into moments of relaxation. Travel in a more relaxing pace.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for our second installment of the State of District 88. I'm Dr. Scott Helton, Superintendent of DuPage High School District 88. In today's segment, we will feature 3 Addison Trail students and 3 Willowbrook students for their success in athletics and music, as well as share information regarding a new education initiative called Vision 2020. The State of District 88 is an ongoing feature that highlights the news and successes of District 88, which is comprised of Addison Trail and Willowbrook High Schools. The show will air every other month and can be viewed on Comcast Cable Channel 6, AT&T UVerse Channel 99, or online at www.addisonadvantage.org, and on YouTube at Village Addison, we look forward to sharing with you the great accomplishments of your hometown high schools. With me today is Addison Trail Principal Adam Sabalka, and he will introduce our 3 Addison Trail students and discuss their achievements and tremendous successes that they've had this year. With us today are Anthony Metello, Amanda Yastrebski, and Kennedy O'Neill. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Sabalka.
Thanks, Dr. Helton. As Dr. Helton mentioned, we have 3 great student athletes here with us today. As he mentioned, Anthony Metello was one of our recipients for wrestling all-state competition, and so he wrestled in the 145-pound division, and we congratulate him on a job well done. Amanda, also a senior, she went downstate for her performance in bowling, and she made it to the second day, which is quite an accomplishment, bowling an average about over 200 for the weekend. And then we have Kennedy O'Neill, who is a sophomore with us at Addison Trail, who competed in the state gymnastics meet. Kennedy was one of the top place winners in the beam performance over the weekend in the state competition, and then also competed in the all-around.
On behalf of the administration and the Board of Education of District 88, I'd like to compliment and congratulate each and every one of you on your successes. And Anthony, I'd like to start off with just a simple story of your success. How did you get, what does it take to get downstate in the sport of wrestling?
I mean, obviously a lot of hard work like it would in any other sport. I mean, a lot of like keeping your head up, because I mean, I've had a lot of tough losses, and I mean, I've gotten down on myself before, but I mean, you just gotta keep at it, and don't stop until you get where your goals are. When you set your goals, don't stop till you get to them. And I mean, that's pretty much. This is my senior year. I haven't made it downstate before, so I knew like this was the year. There's no way I could end my career here without making it down there.
How old were you when you started wrestling?
I have to say 7, 8 years old.
So came through the youth programs in town?
Yeah.
Okay, how about off-season? Do you do some off-season training to support what you do in season?
Yeah, I wrestle freestyle and Greco in the off-season.
Okay. Amanda, how about your story? What does it take to be a state qualifying bowler?
A lot of mental toughness, actually. It's like actually a football player and a baseball player, how much it comes to them. So it's actually when you're up there, you have to really pay attention and know your marks, and just don't even think about people watching you. You just go with the flow and just have a good time and always having fun. But if you miss one bad thing, you don't get down on yourself. That's the hard part a lot of people have with the game.
How old were you when you started bowling?
3.
So you started bowling at a young age.
Yes.
How about in the off-season? Is there off-season competition and training?
Yes, I do almost every day. I go to the bowling alley and practice, and I travel a lot for bowling.
Outstanding. How about yourself, Kennedy? What does it take to be a state qualifying gymnast?
I would say definitely a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of hours. I train in the off season, and I think that's very important. And I've been doing it since I was 6, so it's just that dedication and going into the gym every day and setting your goals and obtaining them and getting over those mental blocks, that's for sure. Because in gymnastics, there's a lot of them, and I've had a lot myself, but it's just sticking to it and just keep going no matter what.
How about significant people in your life that helped you get where you are today athletically? Anthony?
I mean, every coach I've had since I was little, football coaches that I'm real close with, that have been supporting me. Wrestling coaches, obviously, that push me every day in the wrestling room. The little kids club, Headlock Wrestling Academy, they're always supporting me. They're messaging me on Facebook, blah, 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 telling me good luck. So, I mean, all my friends, my family, just the support is a real big factor.
How about you, Amanda? Significant people in your life that have helped you get to where you're at today?
Probably, well, my mom is like a big part. She travels with me a lot, and we go everywhere together. My coach, he's always with me, and like the little kids I coach with and I help out, they always message me and text me, and my friends, they keep me going and come support. And
Kennedy, how about yourself? Significant people in your life that have helped you get here today?
For me, obviously all my coaches that have pushed me to my limits and they know my potential. And also my mom, she's always been there for me and always helps me make the hard decisions with gymnastics, and she's always pushing me to the best I can be.
How about the younger members out there in our viewing audience who are watching this and they want to be a state qualifier, state level wrestler, bowler, gymnast? What advice would you have for them? If you could speak to them right now, what would you say to them if they want to achieve your level of success?
I would say set your goals, make sure they're high enough, and then do whatever it takes to reach them. Because the feeling, I would say, the feeling of regret really stinks. So I would set your goals and do whatever it takes.
How about you, Amanda?
I would set the goals high and just go in there most of the week and practice until you get down what you need, and don't leave without knowing that you had a good practice.
Okay, how about you, Kennedy?
I would definitely say put in your hours. Obviously, try your hardest, but most of all, just make sure it's still fun for you, because that's the biggest motivator.
If we start talking about what's next, I know you're a sophomore and you two are seniors, but what does the future hold for you? What are your plans going forward?
I'm still working on my colleges right now, but my #1 school for me is University of Wisconsin-Platteville, and I got the opportunity to play football and wrestle there. So hopefully go win a couple national championships in football and some in wrestling. Those are my goals right now.
How about you, Amanda?
Probably going to Elmhurst. I got accepted there, and that's probably the top one for me. And I'm gonna probably just do bowling, all of it, and probably do a lot of helping out with the softballs and track and all that, and volunteering.
Great. Now, your kind of vision will probably be about goals for next year. What are those goals?
Just to improve in all my different events and just make my routines better for next year so I can do even better.
Mr. Sabolka, it's amazing. You've had 3 amazing athletes here. How does having students like this impact the culture of your school?
I think in seeing all 3 of the athletes compete this year, one of the things that's amazing is their resiliency, their ability to not get down on themselves and always push through, regardless if there's adversity. And I think that's something that we try to communicate to all of our students, is that you do come across bumps in the road and there are challenges, but it's that dedication, it's that perseverance, it's that hard work that gets you through those tough times and ultimately leads to success. And in all 3 cases here, we have tremendous examples of what it means to be a Blazer. Not only do they get it done in the athletic realm, as we talked about here today, but they get it done in the classroom too. And they're all excellent students and great role models, not only for their fellow classmates, but the community as well.
How about most memorable experience as we close? Your most memorable experience as an athlete at Addison Trail High School. Anthony?
As an athlete, probably completing our 3-time conference championship this year. 3 out of 4 years I've been here, and we won it. So we're on 3 in a row, and just sharing that with my team was I mean, we put in a lot of hard work. So once that's done, just big weight lifted off our shoulders, and it was fun.
How about you, Amanda? Your most memorable experience as an athlete at Addison Trail?
I would probably have to say, actually this year, the girls really worked really hard to get down, and we were really close to going sectionals as a team, but it was unfortunate that we didn't, but the team actually supported all the way for me, and it was kind of really nice to have a team behind me.
Thank you. Kenny?
I have to say, definitely during my freshman year when we beat our rival team for the conference win eventually, and I have to say that was probably the best moment so far, and it's just an amazing feeling for us to be able to win when the odds weren't really with us.
Well, thank you, Anthony, Amanda, Kennedy, Mr. Sabolka. I really appreciate you guys for joining us today. And stay with us, and we'll be right back to introduce you to several Willowbrook students.
A picture-perfect lawn may look harmless, but its effects can be a real horror show. Rain washes fertilizer, bug and weed killers off your lawn, down ditches and drains, and into our rivers, where they can be toxic to wildlife and pollute our water. So cut back on lawn chemicals. Mow higher, leave the clippings, and enjoy a beautiful, healthy, safer lawn.
Now let's meet 3 Willowbrook students who have achieved tremendous success at the state level in athletics and music. I'm pleased to welcome to our show Principal Dan Kraus, freshman from Willowbrook, Mr. Jack Jessen, sophomore junior from Willowbrook, Mr. Matt Rowland, and senior Alex Lipinski. Mr. Kraus, why don't you tell us a little bit about why our athletes and musicians are here today?
Great. We're very pleased to honor 3 of our Willowbrook Warriors who have had tremendous success throughout this school year, and begins with senior Alex Lipinski, who is a 2-time Illinois Music Education Association All-State Choir representative. He's also a 2-time representative for the IHSA Speech Tournament, and also was just recognized recently for the IHSA Solo and Ensemble in each category, earning a superior rating in each. And then obviously our freshmen and junior wrestlers, Jack Jessen and Matt Rowland, both who competed in the IHSA State Wrestling Tournament this past winter. Jack in the 170-pound division, and then Matt in the 152-pound division. Both participated in the Grand March, which means they were in the state finals individually. Both finished in second place with some unfinished business. Looking forward to next year, obviously, both returning students.
On behalf of the District 88 administration and school board, I'd like to thank all of you and congratulate you on your successes. I'd like to just start off just talking about what it takes to get to your level. Jack, what does it take? You're a freshman in high school, second in the state of Illinois in wrestling. What did it take to get you there?
It took a lot of dedication, practices. It was mostly about the repetition, just getting better, trying to find new ways to improve on my things and find my weaknesses and then improve on those, figure out other strategies quickly in the match, and just the dedication to the sport.
How about you, Matt? What did it take to get to your level?
Dedication, just like he said. Listen to my coaches a lot. They're always right. You always got to listen to them. And just keep working hard.
Now, Alex, it's interesting because you've had a couple different experiences at the state level. You're at the top of your game, not only in music, but also speech. So if you want to share a little bit about what did it take to get you to that level?
Well, there's a whole lot of work and dedication involved, definitely in being able to get to that level in something like speech. What I participated in was humorous interpretation, one of speech team's 14 events at the IHSA state series. And basically what that is taking a play, something that's been published, is out there, and cutting that to about 8 minutes in length, and then playing all of the characters within that 8 minutes. So it takes a lot of work to figure out how to cut down the script to where it will still make sense while being nice and competition friendly, as well as then memorizing the script, getting all the characters figured out as to how they act. There's countless hours that go into that. And very similar with music is just figuring out, learning how to produce a good sound, be able to know your scales and triads and all of the all the little things that go into being a really good musician.
So to be a state level person in music and speech, how old were you when you started? Maybe talk about each one. How old were you when you started speech and then music?
I first did speech team my freshman year. I was in, at the time, radio speaking and special occasion speaking, which are both original events. And it's something I've been working through since my freshman year, getting an idea of how the competition experience works, and getting a feel for how to best prepare myself for being able to get to the state series. And with music, I began my sophomore year, started in the concert choir at Willowbrook, and it's just taken off from there. I've loved every minute.
Excellent. How about yourself, Matt? How old were you when you started wrestling?
I started in second grade, and a little flyer came home from school, and I told my dad, let's try wrestling, and that's where it all started.
Excellent. How about you, Jack?
I started when I was 5. My dad ended up reconnecting with coach Brandon Murphy, and he decided to get me into wrestling, and I ended up loving the sport, so I've been doing it ever since.
How about significant people in your life in the world of wrestling, speech, music? Start with you, Jack.
Well, I have to start off with my dad. He's been a big part of my wrestling success and the entire career. He's helped me out through all the tough times with helping me out with the technique. He's taken me aside to give me some advice. I like to thank all my Willowbrook coaches for helping me out, and then all the also Nate Martinez and Gary Walker as well.
Excellent. How about you, Matt?
My parents have been a real big part of my wrestling career, driving me all around. And then the Willowbrook staff, and then the administration all behind us every step of the way.
Oh, Appreciate that. How about you, Alex?
My parents have been incredibly supportive of me and everything I've done, like pretty much throughout my life, and speech team and choir have been no exception. And I also have to thank Miss Karen Wolcott, the choir director at Willowbrook, for getting me into the music program in the first place. When I entered high school, I hated singing, and I think without talking with her, doing a lot of work alongside her, I don't think I ever would have taken the step to actually really enter the music program.
All right, Jack, if I'm a young kid out in the audience watching this show today and I'd like to be a state-level wrestler, what advice would you have for them?
To set your goals high. I always tell myself, if people are not laughing at your goals aren't high enough. And it takes a certain dedication and the will to always get better and the strive to achieve your goals. That's basically the key in any sport, especially wrestling.
How about you, Matt?
Set your goals high, and for a wrestler, you have to be different. Like, you have to watch your weight, not eat, and just keep working towards your goals and never give up.
How about you, Alex? What advice for somebody out there watching?
Well, it takes an enormous amount of dedication, as with anything else, to really be able to get to a very high level at anything that you're doing. And with choir and with speech, it's really largely a matter of managing your voice, knowing how to speak well and to sing well, and that comes with practice. Like you definitely need to be able to keep at it, keep working at it, and never stop loving what you're doing.
Thank you. Mr. Krause, having some amazing athletes, musicians, how do they impact the culture at Willowbrook High School?
I was thinking about that a little bit when they were all talking, because I think each of them don't realize the impact they've all had upon our school and our community. For example, Alex has been in every production for theater as well. So he's been on our stage since a freshman. So the audience gets to see him, and he doesn't often realize how much they're appreciating his work in that, as well as obviously in the choir and for speech. And then, for Jack and Matt, they don't realize that their wrestling matches downstate were broadcast into our commons area. So the entire student body was watching them wrestle and cheering them on. Then we had an opportunity this past week during our Brook Olympics Assembly to honor each of them, all three of them, and two of them were already somewhere else competing and having performances. So we just had a chance to really recognize them in front of the student body. They lead by example, and I think their words and their responses today are evident of that, because their commitment and dedication are not just words that they utilize. They've achieved at such a high level because that's who they are as individuals and their commitment.
Excellent. How about your most memorable experience this year in your events? Jack?
It'd probably be the Grand March downstate. My first time ever being down there. I've visited down there every single time since I was a little kid, and I've always wanted to be in that Grand March, and since the opportunity to be in it was amazing.
So they turn all the lights off in Assembly Hall and put spotlights on the contestants, and it's a pretty emotional experience. How about you?
I was going to say the same thing in the Grand March, just looking up at all your supporters in the stands, and just amazing feeling.
It's probably about 10,000, 15,000 people in that Assembly Hall at the time. It's pretty special. How about you, Alex? Most memorable moment?
I think definitely being at the ILMEA conference down in Peoria, where over this course of 3 or so days, you're part of this choir that's come together from all over the state, and is most of these people are never going to meet each other again, but they're all coming together under this conductor who is creating this incredible sound out of everyone. And I think I'm never going to forget an experience like that.
Well, to thank you to each and every one of you, Jack, Matt, Alex, and Mr. Krause. You've got an amazing group at Willowbrook High School, and we just want to thank you for everything you've done at Willowbrook and for DuPage 88. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with important information about a new education initiative.
How do you feel about your commute these days? A little crabby? You can change that pretty easily. Just take Pace and feel happy as a clam. The savings will be a big change too. Travel in a more relaxing PACE.
Welcome back. We'll now transition into a segment about a new education initiative called Vision 2020. Joining me are Addison Elementary School District 4 Superintendent John Langton, Salt Creek School District 48 Superintendent John Carell, and School District 45 Superintendent Anthony Palmisano. The goal of Vision 2020 is to unite the education community and develop a long-range blueprint for improving public education in Illinois. The vision is founded on the belief that the key to continuous improvement in public education relies on the experience of public educators who work with students every day. In November 2012, the Illinois Association of School Administrators initiated the process of creating Vision 2020 in partnership with the Illinois Principals Association, the Illinois Association of School Business Officials, the Illinois Association of School Boards, the Superintendent's Commission for the Study of Demographics and Diversity, and the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents of Schools. Before we get started, we would like to share a word from Dr. Brent Clark, Executive Director of the Illinois Association of School Administrators.
Well, it started with a simple premise that we were outstanding at knowing what we were against and not very good at knowing what we were for. So Vision 2020 was really rooted in the idea of developing solutions to man-made problems in Illinois and knowing what we were for, things that we would advocate to pursue. So really, we come with a basket of solutions here, and these aren't solutions looking for a problem, these are solutions to problems that currently exist in Illinois today. And we think if you pass these things as a comprehensive package, you really improve the experience and the environment for school children all across Illinois.
We'll now take a closer look at the 4 pillars or 4 areas that comprise Vision 2020.
The first pillar of Vision 2020 is to ensure that we have highly effective educators in Illinois. We know that the quality of educators and school leaders is the greatest predictor of student achievement that schools can influence. By attracting, developing, and retaining our state's best educators, we can really have a profound impact on student learning. This goal can be accomplished through recruiting and retaining high-impact educators and providing relevant professional development for them. There are 6 priorities for attracting and maintaining our highly effective educators. Those include to improve licensure reciprocity agreements between states, to allow opportunities for people that are in other states or licensed in other states to teach in Illinois, to identify opportunities to expand alternative teaching licensure programs to tap into professionals that have content expertise but lack the teacher licensure requirements in Illinois. Consider opportunities for teacher student loan forgiveness to support teachers in underserved content areas such as math, science, and special education, and also for those willing to teach in underserved parts of the state, such as those in high poverty in rural areas. We would also like to develop partnerships with institutions of higher learning to establish consistent admission and program criteria that will enhance the preparedness of teacher candidates. We also would like to increase the funding for the mentoring of new educators and school leaders to build on their skills to make them more effective in their positions. And we would like to ensure the allocation of sufficient time for collaboration during educators' workday. This time for collaboration provides time for observation, discussion about best practices, and for developing effective instructional materials and strategies. And the final area of priority for highly effective educators is to enhance their ability of the regional offices of education throughout the state to function as centers for professional learning and innovation. Each of these 6 priority areas, if addressed, will result in public schools in Illinois to be able to attract, develop, and retain the best educators for our children in this state.
Well, the second priority, or the second pillar really, is 21st century learning. What's interesting is the U.S. Department of Labor had some research last year that reported that 65% of grade school students will actually end up in jobs that haven't even been invented yet. They also indicated that the skills that would be needed for those jobs in the future would be teamwork, collaboration, and creativity. It's a different world that we're going into and that our students are entering into in the future. It's a world where, as they said in the career board, that engineers will be able to develop in the future refrigerators, appliances. Those things are relatively easy for them to do, things that they've been doing for a long time. But what will make the difference in the future in the 21st century is the uniqueness of those appliances, the uniqueness of those refrigerators, how they will service the needs of human beings in the future. So that will take a certain amount of creativity in the 21st century. So again, the second pillar is 21st century learning, and Vision 2020 really focuses on expanding the definition of student learning, committing to the development of the whole child, and investing in policies proven to link schools to 21st century learning tools. There are several priorities that are linked to Vision 2020's 21st century learning. The first priority is to align social and emotional learning standards to what we do. For the social and emotional learning standards, we consider ideas such as executive functioning skills that students need to have. I know in many of our schools we work with the check-in, check-out system, helping students to plan and prepare ahead of time. Again, these are skills that are needed in the 21st century to think on their feet, to move forward, to know how to plan for the day, to know how to come up with objectives and priorities in the future. We have our second step program that we work with. I know that many of you use the same type of program, again, working with executive functioning skills. The idea in Vision 2020 is, again, to align those social and emotional learning skills to the to the new Illinois standards. Another priority would be to support student creativity and innovation. As I said before, some of the skills that are really needed for the 21st century is teamwork and collaboration. In many of our classes now, we are focused on learning in smaller group settings, oftentimes in a workshop model, literature circles. These are opportunities for students to work together, to learn from each other. And again, these are the skills that are most needed in the future. Other priorities would be, promoting individualized learning. Children learn in different ways and at different speeds. In mathematics, there is an emphasis now to focus on process learning. There's to understand the process that's associated with mathematical skills, more than procedural knowledge. Instead of memorizing rote procedures going forward, they really need to know why they're doing what they're doing, how they actually problem solve. Problem solving is a huge aspect to what they will need to do in the future. Another priority would be engaging parents, family, and the community. We still know that the #1 predictor of student success is really parent involvement, and we need to have parents and families involved in our school systems. I know in our district we have family math night. We bring in our families, we bring in our parents and our students, and our staff work with our families to help them understand how they can help their children at home with math homework, since it is more difficult and more process focused. We're also looking at developing through Vision 2020 a balanced state assessment system. This is something that's needed more than we've talked about in the past. In this balanced assessment system, it really would be a system that we could use that's really funded by the state of Illinois, but a state testing system that provides us data that we can use throughout the year, formative data that we would use throughout the year instead of what we would call autopsy data that we would only get at the end of the year, data that would tell us how the students did in the past, but data that we really couldn't use to adjust our instruction, inform our instruction to know what we need to do in the future. Another priority would be offering incentives for expanding preschool and full-day kindergarten in the future. We know that the research is very clear about success in the early years of learning, pre-K through second grade especially. Those are programs that we want to strengthen for our students. We know that if our students are reading at a very early age, usually by age 4, they are more successful in school, they're more successful in the future. We're building the foundation for them for the 21st century. We want to promote partnerships. I know the high schools are doing this mainly in partnerships with post-secondary institutions. There is an opportunity and a push to align our practices with practices in the business world, having students work as apprentices and also having mentors from the business world work with them. And we want to encourage, as a priority, career exploration. We want to give the students opportunities to know what's out there. What are those potential career positions that they would have in the future? More than anything at this point in time, we need to provide high-speed internet connectivity to every school and community. We know for the testing that the students will be doing in the future, we'll need Chromebooks, iPads. We need to make sure that there's adequacy and equity across the state. We know we need that adequacy and equity across all 4 districts, making sure that students have technology available to them. And we need to make sure that the state is incorporating technology into their state learning standards. Those are the priorities for 21st century learning.
The third pillar in Vision 2020 is called shared accountability, and that really relates to both in terms of people and in terms of processes. According to Vision 2020, a quality education for Illinois students can't be obtained without the collaboration of all the stakeholders. And too oftentimes, educators appear to be in really contrast with some of the things the legislators are trying to do. And in reality, we need to be working for the same things. We need to seek opportunities for educators to have more responsibility within the legislative process and within a shared accountability model, the ability to have some input into some of the mandates that we all have to follow to make our schools work. There are some priorities, though, that are distinguished in this particular pillar. And one of them, very specifically, is to allow one of the slots, at least, on the Illinois State Board of Education to be filled by a practicing educator, whether that would be a superintendent or some other specialist or just a general educator within our public schools. We're not trying to duck our need to collaborate or work with state legislators, but in fact enhance that by having somebody that's in the field actually participate in that process. So that will take some time to work on that particular piece, but is something we think is very important. A second point, similar to some of the comments that Mr. Palmisano made regarding the second pillar, is what's called a differentiated accountability model. Tony talked about the aspect of an enhanced assessment system. Accountability, though, goes well beyond assessment. And one of the things we'd like to do is to have an accountability model for our schools that takes in things like student growth, takes in some of the things that we're doing to improve our schools, not just results on test scores. And so that's one of the things that we'd like to work on. And in my particular school district, we do a variety of assessments and other measures, surveys throughout the school year that I think would be outstanding components of a differentiated accountability model. A third piece would be to take a close look at the differentiation between essential and discretionary regulations. Folks that are not involved in the day-to-day operation of the schools may not be aware that we all have policy manuals that come down from state laws that are 2 or 3 inches thick, and things that really make it difficult to follow all the nuances of legislation that come forth in our schools. Some of them are absolutely essential, some not so much. And so we'd really like the opportunity to take a look at those and perhaps sort through some that are not so necessary and perhaps weed those out if possible. And finally, similar related to that is to allow districts the opportunity to opt out of certain mandates and regulations if indeed those either are not funded or a district might elect not to take the funding for that one. There are certain things that we're compelled to do by virtue of very small amounts of money often that don't particularly fund those things, and we'd like the opportunity to take a closer look at that and be able to opt out of some of those regulations and mandates if possible. So, you know, in summary, the shared accountability pillar encompasses both legal components, assessment components, and the ability to relate to legislators in a more collaborative fashion.
Thanks. The final pillar resonates throughout every other pillar in this state. It's about equity and adequacy. And the final pillar is about equitable and adequate funding. We saw it last year with Senate Bill 16. This year we see it with Senate Bill 1. It's a reaction of the state Senate and House to take a look at how to make funding in this state equitable. If you look throughout the state, there's no argument that there's a difference between the districts on what we're spending per pupil and in the resources and the environment throughout the state of Illinois. There's inequity there. The other part of it, though, is our argument to the state is before you look at changing laws and systems related to equity, you need to fund us adequately. Over the last few years, if you look over the last 4 years, the districts at this table, between 4, 48, 45, and 88, we've lost over $6 million in funding because the state prorates our general state aid at 11. We get 11% less annually. In District 88, that's $500,000. So we continue to lose those dollars, and that compounds. So our argument is before you change the equity formula, you need to fund us adequately first. Looking at Senate Bill 16 last year, all of us were losing money. This year, collectively, we would lose $7 million every year if Senate Bill 1 is passed. That's alarming. And the final pillar addresses that. And it's about equitable and adequate funding. And the focus is to improve equity in the funding model, appropriate adequate dollars for education, and allow local school districts the autonomy needed to increase the efficiencies. This goal would be accomplished through funding education based on a local need, stabilizing state funding for education, and enhancing district flexibility to increase the financial efficiency. The priorities here include adopting an evidence-based funding model, enhance state spending, restructure state revenues to match the 21st century economy, and create a 2-year funding cycle with year-ahead budgeting. All of us at this table realize that changes need to be made, but we need to be proactive instead of reactive. We need to have information ahead of time, not in the spring every year after we've already staffed our buildings and made decisions for services for our students. So the final pillar, once again, is equitable and adequate funding. As we look across our districts, all of us have taken the initiatives with our school boards to do resolutions to support Vision 2020. Any final thoughts on Vision 2020 in our environment, in our area, in our districts?
I think a key to transitioning Vision 2020, maybe both at the state level and certainly at the local level, is to identify specific actions that would take place under each of those pillars, so it's not just a theoretical model. And the one that I was talking about, just looking at different ways across the school system to determine what are some great things that we're doing that ought to be part of our accountability system, rather than just test scores.
I think for our Board of Education, the biggest piece that resonated was the need to address what needs to be improved. I don't think anybody in the state of Illinois is saying that the way we approach public education is perfect. Excuse me. However, we also don't want to just be making excuses. We want to be ahead of the curve and make sure that we identify what areas need to be enhanced and start creating action plans for how we can do that. And I think Vision 2020 provides a very clear blueprint and opportunity for that. Even though we touched on the 4 pillars in a general sense, there are already some initiatives that are stemming from the different pillars, such as the funding model that Vision 2020 has proposed with legislators. I think those proactive efforts will make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. And I think making a connection to being proactive and having action plans, our strategic planning processes, we all have those in our districts. I think if in the future our districts work together on strategic planning, working with our families, communities, focus groups, with our parents, listening to our community, and hearing from them what they see as important going forward, what do they want for their students, really what's the end game here for our children, How do we want to proceed in the future with the ideas linked with Vision 2020 and with the ideas linked with what our parents want to see for their own children going forward? So I think we can work together on that.
My excitement is about taking a platform and going out publicly and talking about what we're doing. In this day and age, the United States takes a hit, internationally. We take a hit when people talk about what we're doing as public educators. And I think getting our message out to the public, this is the best trained teaching staff we've ever seen. And the Fall Solution Tree will come out with a book that will talk about, the disaggregating the data and compare the United States versus the rest of the world, where we're doing a good job. Because, when we started with No Child Left Behind, and we've always done this as public educators, we educate every student. From the highest level student to students with special needs, we do our very best, and we work with our teachers continuously. Our evaluation system is better than it's ever been, and we continuously look to improve. And I think that's where I'm so proud of our state for coming out with a platform to really send a message to people, locally and throughout the nation, that we're doing a good job and we're going to continue to improve. We're not happy where we're at. We will continue to move on and get better for our students and our communities. So thanks for joining us today. In closing, it's our responsibility as educators to reflect on the state of education in Illinois and take action to create an education system that meets the needs of all students. Vision 2020 is asking education groups and school districts to support the vision. Learn how you can help at illinoisvision2020.org/toolkit. You can follow the progress of Vision 2020 and learn more about the initiative by going to illinoisvision2020.org. Following Vision 2020 on Twitter at Illinois Vision 2020 or emailing questions at illinoisvision2020.org. Thank you for watching and for your support of students in Districts 88, 4, 45, and 48. Be sure to join us again during our next segment of the State of District 88, which will air right here on ACTV. To stay up to date with all the great things happening in District 88, visit our website at www.dupage88.net, where you can sign up for our electronic newsletter and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.